Hello, this is The Way of Fairness. My name is Stephen Childs. Oh, a long time ago, I watched a program on TV called On the Family, John Bradshaw, and he explains the difference between functional family and dysfunctional. The sociologists, the psychologists had made this realization about family systems, and they knew about it, but the lay people, the public, didn't know what they were seeing with people. And one of them, one of them called it dysfunctional family. Well, what does functional and dysfunctional mean? Why didn't they just say unfair families and fair families? I'll explain that in a minute, why they don't. Function is like a purpose, and dysfunction, dysfunctional means it's not working. Its purpose is not being achieved. So you could have like a tool or something that's dysfunctional, it's broken, it doesn't work. Or one that's working functionally is fine, nothing's wrong with it. It functions okay. So they're saying that the dysfunctional families are not functioning okay. They're causing problems. They're not helpful. They're not useful in what we're trying to achieve. Well, who's we and who are they, you know? So this is all humans coming up with ideas. The people in universities are learning from people who came up with ideas and tested their ideas. And what's the actual truth of this? Well, we don't really know. We're in the process of learning what the truth of things is. So the reason they don't just call it unfair families or unfair people, because it fights back. Unfairness fights back. I've realized that unfairness is exactly evil, and evil is exactly unfairness. There's no evil other than unfairness. And it's real, and it exists, and it fights you. If you're trying to stop it, it wants to control us, the people that have agreed to be fair. That's who we are. It wants to control us. It wants to shut us up. Because if it can't shut us up, we might find out about the unfair things that it did, and it would be in trouble if we talked. So in family systems, they learned that there's family secrets. And John Bradshaw talked about the family secrets. So if somebody's done something in the family to someone else in the family, perpetrators, a lot of this is focused on sexual abuse. It's one of the main driving instincts, drives in a human, is sexual desire. It's second only to survival. So if your survival's threatened, you have even more drive, more incentive to stop the problem. So do you understand this? We have two sides fighting against each other. Because the people that are fair and trying to stop unfairness to them and theirs, and they realize that we have to use tough love on our own people if they're not being fair, and we have to have tough love on our own self if we're not being fair. So first of all, we got to stop the unfairness within ourselves. That's a full-time job if you're like me. So it's a daily awareness that I have the potential to be unfair with my thinking, judgmental, in thought or in action, unfair. And this is what they were talking about with family dysfunction. And if they would have came right out and said it directly, that we're going to stop unfairness, we're going to defeat evil, they would have been attacked severely. And then our system of law, it's dysfunctional, it's unfair. It really is. It's very unfair. And people are harmed by the system. You know, they say you can't fight the system. Well, what's the system? It's the world's social system, the culture. It's the governments, it's the religions. It's the power that controls us. So we want to be on the team that's controlling rather than on the team that's being controlled. So Donald Trump's team, they want to have control of the government. And they want to have control of people that are saying wrongs have been done. So if you look at when they put Kavanaugh into the Supreme Court, and there was allegations of sexual abuse. And if you've listened to Tucker Carlson talking about how to tell what the truth is and who's telling the truth, and he's saying people that are accusing others of doing them wrong are lying, and they become hysterical and they wave their arms around and they're upset. So when people are upset, they're lying. This is what Tucker Carlson's teaching people. To focus on people that are a threat to the unfair people. Tucker Carlson is an unfair person. And he doesn't care. He's just in this to win, I suppose. This becomes a major conflict when we're trying to stop the perpetrator. They become dangerous to us. They find ways to use the system that's also dysfunctional, unfair, against us to shut us up. So there was on Channel 4 News in Salt Lake City a story yesterday about a Mormon bishop in Idaho. I was raised in the Mormon church. I've since become atheist and faith-based atheist, spiritual atheist. So I have faith in something that's bigger than me and bigger than them. And so if I didn't have this faith in something bigger than them, I'd be hopeless. And I call it the all-powerful all, or all almighty, or the all-powerful oneness. I'm an atheist. I don't think there was a creator being. I think the divine mind, the universal mind, the fair mind in the cosmos, in the universe, that I believe has more power than the unfair mind. And it, like I explained, it's split within our own selves. And why would we assume extraterrestrials are different than that? I suppose they would have the same evolutionary development and the same battle of good versus evil going on in their mind. So this bishop had molested his daughter, and she's talking, and they're trying to shut her up. He tried to, and he couldn't. This is speculation. This follows its pattern. It happens the same way every time. They're trying to shut me up. They're saying telepathically, I'm here, and they're going to destroy me if I don't shut up. And my reply back to them is, you're going to be destroyed. I'm taking you to eternal hell for being unfair to me, and I have more power than you do, and your God does not even exist. It's just your team that's unfair, that's fighting against my team that's fair. And you're going to lose because you're unfair, and the fair team has more power. So become fair. This is where I have a solution. This is where the change has happened. It's with the World Fairness Agreement. 4 pages, right to the point, very simple. But it's you might have to read it a few times to comprehend, to understand, or to see how it works, to get what I'm trying to explain. It's hard to explain somewhat. It's so different than what we're used to. So Trump, for example, he joins with the Team Fairness, and we don't prosecute him. We get the governments and the religions to agree with this, and everybody who agrees to stop doing others wrong, there's full exoneration. It's like Christianity. But we don't have a person that rules. The thing that rules is not a person, it's fairness. Fairness rules me, and fairness rules everyone. And those that aren't fair, they have created, my friends, have created eternal hell. And it's there to protect us from unfair people. So us people in the universe, the divine mind, which I struggle to stay a part of by making sure that I'm not unfair. Then I'm invited to join with this wonderful universal mind, this one mind of all power, of compassion, of love for us, and we have love for it. It's saving us. It's very real. And if you want to call it God, go ahead. But if your God's unfair to me, then I'm going to defeat your God, and you'll find out you didn't have a God. That wasn't even God, it was a liar. It was a group of people lying, deceived deceivers. So what I'm talking about is based on actual truth and actual fairness for everyone. So the people that have been they've been done wrong horribly when they're younger. If you look into Alice Miller and her research on the first book I came across of hers was called For Your Own Good, Hidden Cruelty in Child Rearing and the Roots of Violence. When I started to understand it, I was so angry. I could only read for 5 or 10 minutes, and I had extreme anger because I got in touch with all the anger of being done wrong, of seeing the whole system doing people wrong. They're innocent. And it's an appropriate response when someone is harming you to be angry. Okay, so it does blind us in our intellect. And so the anger just tells you there's a problem, empowers you, and then you put the anger aside. I have to count backwards from 12 each breath, and I do it all the time to stop my mind so that the clear thoughts can appear in the mind instead of my ego being a problem. She explained how the system that taught her about psychology, and she tried to explain to them what she was seeing about unfairness, they turned against her. She was very hurt. But she realized these people are not, they're controlled by the power of unfairness too. So it's difficult to get free of this force of unfairness. It's a fight within yourself to get free of it. And it manifests in other people in your life, in your family or people you work with, religion, so forth. And it tries to stop you from getting free of unfairness. It wants you to be unfair and hurt the other team, hurt the other guy. It's like somebody said, you either bully someone or you're going to be bullied. So this is the culture we live in. It's unfair. Because people that have surrendered to the unfairness, they say, well, life's unfair. You're talking nonsense, thinking that you're going to make life fair, because life is unfair. We all know that. They're unfair because they wouldn't be saying that. So I'm not talking about stopping earthquakes that are unfair. Are they though? Randomness doesn't have a mind. So there's no fair or unfair when there's no conscious being that's being harmed or helped. So the unfairness I'm talking about is coming from conscious beings. Animals could be fair or unfair. And when in like a group of dogs, if one of them's unfair and takes too much food or gets the food, they get really angry for taking the food, and they have a power struggle. And there's a pecking order in the pack of dogs, wolves or whatever. They sense all this stuff. So when I went for my walk just a while ago to get my energy back, the dogs are all excited. They're barking because they sense that this force of unfairness that harms them too is being overthrown, and it correlates with this Mormon bishop and Channel 4 News in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm given precognition from these other beings of the divine mind, the universal mind. They know the future. I can talk with them while I'm sleeping. I do it every night. I've worked on this and worked on this for my ability to communicate with them. And they told me years ago, it's Channel 4 News. And in this dream I was given, it has to do with the announcement of extraterrestrials. How does this correlate? Because this is where the fight's at. So I heard this morning, the Martian's dead. So the Martian in this sense must have been on team unfairness. Now this is generalities. Do you understand? There might be a Martian that's the most magnificent being in the universe. But this particular one's dead. I don't know any more than that. It's metaphorical, so we might not know for a long time what this is about. That's the way this is. You need to learn that. That the stuff we get in our dreams doesn't happen for a long time sometimes, but make a note of it. Write your dreams down and see if they aren't coming true. I'll turn this on pause for a minute.